Hi guys, Angela here, and welcome back to Hobby Night. Today we are going to be opening the newest release from Warhammer Underworld's Beastgrave, the Wurmspat. You can pick this up at your friendly local game store for $30 or your regional equivalent. I picked this up because I'm a Death Guard player and I wanted to proxy these for some characters in my army. So let's go ahead and get to the unboxing, shall we? Alright, and here we are with the Warhammer Underworld's Beastgrave, the Wurmspat. It's the top of the box. The side of the box, where it talks about building your war band, constructing your deck, and defeating your rivals. The bottom with all of the warnings. The other side. And the back. The Wurmspat spread plague and corruption through Beastgrave. Upgrade Warhammer Underworlds with the Wurmspat expansion, containing the Wurmspat warband and 59 unique cards to enhance your fighters. This pack provides new tactics and challenges for Warhammer Underworld's Beastgrave. Let's see, we've got 3 fighters, 3 fighter cards, 32 Grim Watch, and 27 Universal Upgrade, Power, and Objective cards. Alright, well, let's go ahead and get this bad boy opened. See what we've got in here. Alright, so we've got our sprues. Take a look at those in a second. Our instruction guide and our cards. Okay, well, let's take a look at these. So it looks like we have the main female character here. I think that's her little pet that she has. Probably her base. Let's take a look. Oh, that's cool. That's her scythe, I think, there. Ooh, let me get that in focus for you. And then, okay, so this one looks like it's primarily her and then one of the other bases. That's pretty cool. I like how her hair is separate in the kit and everything. That's pretty cool. This will be fun to build. Alright, and then we've got our other sprue. So we've got the other base, and then our 2 other figures here. Oh, I like that shoulder. That's pretty rad. Alright, let's flip it over. Yeah, so you can see these are going to be the easy to build kits, so it should be actually pretty fast to put together. They both have the pegs, you'll notice, here and here, and all of them have it. Just makes it super simple to build. Alright, and then we've got the rules, or how to build the miniatures. Like I said, the easy builds are fairly simple. They just kind of push together, don't even require glue or much cleanup, which is really nice. And we've got the last one here on the back. And then as you can see, we've got them all built right down here. And that. And then we've got the cards. Get this open. They always make these very tight. And I didn't think to grab anything to open this with. Actually, I have a X-Acto here because I actually pre-cut the box to try to make that smoother. Alright, so we have a bunch of the cards. The Wurmspat. The sorcerer, Sekulow Flyblown, was far from Beastgrave, haunched over a stained cauldron, when she read a sign in the coiling vapor rising from it. She saw a shard cursed of endless sterility, in which nothing stayed dead long enough to rot, and the effects of the entropy were perpetually undone. Horrified, Felucia added foul ingredients to her pestilence brew, hoping to attract Nurgle's aid to halt the spread of the unplague. Drawn by the rancid odor, a monstrous worm maggot burst from the ground and swallowed the sorcerer and her 2 favored bodyguards whole. This creature burrowed onwards until it could stomach Felicia's nauseum stew no more. It burst into Beastgrave, where it disgorged the group in a tide of steaming vomit. Together the Wurmspat are resolved to cure the curse of the mountain's heart by spreading the filth so beloved of their deity. Nice. All right. Ooh, and there we have her. Let me actually check the back. So we got a cool picture there. That's what the back sides of the cards look like. Sekulow Flyblown. Let me get that in focus. 3 or more enemy fighters out of action and or have 1 or more wounds tokens. So I guess maybe that's just one of her abilities. And then when this fighter is dealt damage by an attack action, reduce that damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 for each of the shields in the defense roll. Nice. Oh, and then she's got a backside. When this fighter is dealt damage by an attack action, reduce that damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 for each shield in the defense roll. Interesting. I've not actually played Beastgrave, which is probably fairly obvious from my confusion at these rules and not knowing exactly what they mean. I've played... Well, actually, that's not true. I have actually played Underworlds once, but it was almost a year ago, and I don't actually remember a huge amount of the mechanics. I know that you build the deck, which is why we have all of these cards, which I'll continue to show you in detail, at least the major ones and everything. But I don't remember specifically how it works, but I know that, like, based on the rolls that you do, I believe you get to use these actions and everything as you're moving across the board and, you know, fighting your opponents and whatnot. So might be one fun one to look into. I haven't checked it out since, like, I think it was Shadespire. I think that was the one that I looked into, which I think was the first one, but I'm not 100% sure there. Anyways, we have the Golgotch, the Butcher. When this fighter is dealt damage by an attack action, reduce that damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 for each shield in the defense roll. And 3 or more enemy fighters are out of action and or have 1 or more wound tokens. So I'm wondering if you get to do this when this occurs. Maybe that's what that means, but someone in the comments can definitely probably let me know. And then on this side, when this fighter is dealt damage by an attack action, reduce that damage. All right, so it's basically the same thing on both sides. It seems like you just get to do a special ability on one side. All right, and then the last guy, Septimus, Plaguesworn. All right, and then his is when this fighter is dealt damage by an attack action, reduce that damage by 1 to a minimum of 1 for each shield on the defense roll. So they all have that nice defense ability, which makes sense for Nurgle. They're always very durable. Oh, I see. He becomes inspired. That's what's happening. I should have read that. So each of these say Gulach inspired, Simpson inspired, and Felicia inspired. Nice. All right. And then we have a bunch of abilities. So Blades of Putrefaction, which is awesome. In this case, it is if cast friendly fighters range 1 and range 2 attack actions have +1 damage on a critical hit. This spell persists until the end of the round. I think that's actually... What does the Blades of Putrefaction do in the Warhammer? I think it gives you... I do think it gives you some pluses to your attacks. That's pretty cool. And then we've got the back, so I think these represent your, like, action cards. Blessing of Rust. So I won't read through all of these. That would probably end up being a very long video. But I'll read the titles of them. So Blessing of Rust, Flutioned Vigor, Gift of Contagion, Nauseous Revulsion, Rampant Disease, Rancid Visitations, Steady Advance, Begrudging, Unnaturally Vital, Fly Swarm, Fortitude Shroud, Foetid Shroud, sorry, Hulking Psyche, Living Plague, Pestilence Deliverer, Putrid Vomit, Stolid Bulk, Unstoppable Tread, Virulent Blade, Retchling. That's right, that's what her creature that she has on her sprue that goes on the base with her. That's her Retchling. Blessed Endurance. So these look like they are a slightly different card back now that we've gotten out of the ones with the blue. I assume these are probably based on the fact that they have the yellow tone, like the inspired side. I wonder if these are abilities that go with that, maybe. But Blessed Endurance, Blessing 3, Chosen Warriors, Cycle of Decay, Faithful Reward, Fell the Faithless, Nurgle's Garden Groan, Rotbringers, Sacred Trilobe, Seeping Rot, Spread His Blessing, and Strength of the Devoted. Alright, and that is the end of that one. I'll just set those aside. And let's get this other one open. There we go. Alright, so it looks like we have some more of the action cards on this side. So, Beast Armor, Collapse, Crushing Charge. So just based off the title so far, these ones seem like maybe they're more of your general ones rather than the unique ones specifically to the Nurgle, because that other deck was definitely Nurgle specific. Flash of Foresight, Irresistible Vision, Leadbone Dust, Leave Nothing to Chance, Lucky Escape, Nightmare in the Shadows, Amberstone Dagger, Barbladen Net, Hunting Companion, Jared's Spirited Spear. That was a little bit of a tongue twister. Praise Cunning, Sprinting Charm, Substance Siphon, Sacred Tome, Victor's Experience, Adaptive Strategy, Addicted to Power, Arcane Arrest, Arcane Expertise, Awesome Resilience, Frantic Exchange, Master of Many Paths, and Perfect Match. And finally, Seracious Volley. Now, I've played a fair number of deck builders, and I find it kind of interesting that there are no repeats in any of these. Like, they're all, like, I think every single one of these cards was a unique card. And it looks like we've got some more of the yellow ones, and then these ones are all the blue ones. But yeah, I find it kind of interesting that there are no repeats in this deck builder, despite the fact that in most cases, like Dominion, for example, which is sort of the grandfather of deck building games and where that concept sort of really exploded. Um, you get a lot of repeat cards as part of the gameplay. I mean, and heck, you get it in Magic too, in most trading card games. So it's interesting that in this instance, the deck building part doesn't seem to be about getting more cards. I guess you just have a very limited amount, but then you have options of what you can build your deck with each time. So that's probably why they do it that way. Anyways, we are going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time building these miniatures up, and we will be back in a bit. All right, welcome back, everybody. We have the Wurmspat all built up, and we're going to start by looking at Gulak the Butcher. He's about 2 inches tall. As you can see here, each of these squares is half an inch, and other than this tiny little spike that's sticking out, he is roughly 2 inches. But let's take a look at a bit more of his detail work, because that's always the cool part of these miniatures. I especially like the drool hanging here on his face, but he also has a lot of really cool details all around him, like the skulls here. I always enjoy when they do these peaks of chainmail beneath cloth. It always adds just nice little details that you can, play around with and enhance as you want to. He's also got this cool fly symbol on his shoulder piece here, along with, of course, a skull peeking out of spike, because that is classic chaos. They also each came with a unique base, which I always enjoy when Games Workshop does that. It just adds a little bit of extra flavor and narrative that you as the player and painter can, kind of manipulate and make what you want to have a little bit more fun with the miniature. But yeah, that is Gulak the Butcher, and we'll be right back with the next one. All right, and next up we're going to look at Septimus Plaguesworn. He is about 3 inches tall from base to the tip of the spear. Well, let's take a little bit of a closer look at him. I'm very excited to paint him because I love doing these little detail works on, especially the chainmail. Doing these in just a Bacillum Gray is always really cool because you get a very matte metal look, like a non-metallic metal, and it tends to look really cool. I'm also thinking that this trilobe symbol here is going to end up looking really neat with contrast because of all those little recesses. The contrast paint's just going to settle into those crevices and just, give a really nice shade, basically, pretty easily. I don't know if I'm going to do it in a metallic or if I'm going to do it in the Plague Bearer green, I think is what it's called. But we'll see. His spear is actually very cool. I love all the little pox marks in it. Still looks deadly, but has that cool Nurgle rot look about him. This is the grossest part of this miniature. So he's got this little bit hanging off of his butt, and there's definitely like something dripping out of it, which is just gross, but also incredibly on theme, and I love it. He's also carrying around a sort of trilobe, actually, of skulls, in the little way that it's formatted here. All of the people he has beaten up in the Beastgrave. I also really like his knight helmet. It reminds me of Bretonnians, just because, they're very knight heavy, so I sort of associate with that. But between the little slits there in the helmet, I just really kind of like that classic look, along with the very nice plumage popping off the top there. It's just a very cool, balanced design that I really dig. Yeah, that has been Septimus, and we'll take a look at the last miniature now in this set. Alright, and last but not least, Sekulow Flyblown. She's the main reason I picked up this set. You just don't see a lot of female chaos miniatures, I feel like, except for, I mean, obviously Slaanesh, because let's face it, it's Slaanesh. But I actually don't know if I've ever seen another female Nurgle specific miniature that was kind of like distinctly female. There may be some, I just don't know of them, but she's the first one I've seen at least, and I just thought it would be really cool to have. I feel like she looks sort of like a plague caster, so I might actually proxy her as a plague caster in my Death Guard army, because I do tend to run that unit, and it helps that I like her little retchling here. He's so cute. I have a bunch of Nurgling, the Nurgling kit that I bought, and I want to add a bunch of them to my various Death Guard miniatures, mostly with the Marines and everything. But she already has one, so she doesn't even need anything extra like that. She's really cool. She's got a lot of neat details, like this bell, for example, has that cool face in it. I like all the little detail work here. She has this tendril that connects from underneath her really awesome dagger, and this other skull that goes to the staff that she's carrying, which is really cool. She's got all this little extra like bags and all this underneath her cowl, which is always fun. And then of course you must always carry in your purse more skulls, because you can't ever have too many skulls. I actually left, so I actually glued a lot of these guys together, just because while the easy to builds don't require glue, I tend to, just because sometimes they shift. Like occasionally you'll get an arm that just like will move a little bit, and so I tend to stick them down. But her face I actually left unglued for right now, because when I paint her, I'm going to take it off, do a little bit more easy work on her like teeth and the one eye that is visible, because the hair piece actually goes into one of her eye sockets. It's actually a little funny when you're building it, to just stick that piece into her eyeball. But I left it unglued so that I could paint her a little easier and do a bit more detail work with her mouth and everything, because sometimes that is quite difficult to do. Oh my gosh, I just noticed. Okay, so she has this bird skull here, which is probably for the Cabal, which are also in the Beastgrave set, but she kind of looks like a green hag, and I've been building 3 green hags for a D&D campaign that I'm in, and I'm so bummed that, I mean, I could still probably use her, but I'm sad she didn't come out sooner, because she would have been a great inspiration for some of the kit bashing I was doing. Heck, I could have probably gotten another set and used some of her bits to add some extra detail to the ones that I was working on. But now she'll just be a sort of stylistic add-on, as well as a great miniature for my Death Guard army. But yeah, that is Sekulow Flyblown, and we'll see you next time. Hi guys, thanks for watching. If you like that video, make sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon below for more. If you'd like to see additional stuff that I do, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at hobby_night. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.